In my first video, I'm going to attempt to display the peaks and the valleys of this game, where I'm not even sure what I'm doing half the time or why I'm doing it. We'll come to find that a lot of the journey is a trip down memory lane. In this brilliantly dumb, esoteric, but somehow addicting game, we find that it's easy to find a friend or perhaps a foe. Choice is really up to you. How will you decide to play? Hello everyone, welcome to Endless Online. What is Endless Online, you might be asking? Well, if you can't tell from the footage by now, it's an isometric pixelated game in which you fight monsters, gain XP, go on quests to make you feel a sense of achievement. Okay guys, I'm here with this quest now. Air die. No, dude, I'm not gonna no, go fuck yourself. Yeah, so the quests aren't that interesting, which brings me to my first topic. The quests are a problem in my opinion, something I wish to see resolved. Make use of these empty maps and all these places that the developers designed for the community to enjoy. Now, I want you all to understand something. I am not knocking the design or implementation of new content some developers are putting out. However, quests are necessary to feel a sense of progression. When I say quests, I don't mean the typical bullshit like go kill 3 slimes and then return. Okay, give me max level sword please. No, fuck that. I mean quests with interesting stories on their own. It would also allow some more creative freedom from the developers. And yes, I do understand that these things take time. One could wish though, right? My main point being for this is to utilize all the maps. Don't just put monsters in them and then call it quits. Kinda like this guy. Uh-oh. I mean, that's fine too, but this is what makes it hard for new players coming into the game for the first time. I digress. Moving on. Okay, so what makes this game so special? Honestly, I don't know. However, the history of this game dates back to 2003, with its initial release, and has a lot of the same goals that a lot of the private servers try to tackle to this day, 20 years later. Private servers, you said? Yeah, private servers. I'm getting ahead of myself with private servers, but what happened to the main game is that somewhere along the line, data got corrupted, and a bunch of kerfuffle happened with the developers of the game, and just straight up left. That's a long story short. Once the main developers left, the game was kept alive by some other community members who formed their own main server, identical to the main game, with added updates which weren't really all that interesting, to be honest, but, you know, effort. Right now, I want us to focus on the overall development of the game. At its peak, the original game had around 2,000 players that regularly logged in and played. This was enough to fill every map and always have someone to talk to and do things with. With this count in mind, it makes sense that roughly 2% of the people would try to carry on its legacy of such a nostalgic game for its time. Want to know the fucked up part though? You are now caught up in the timeline. A game that's 20 years old, and it took me, what, 30 seconds to catch you guys up? Yeah, that's pretty depressing. The important thing to note is that the community has brought forth a valiant effort in keeping this game alive. Oh, come on! This game, while admittedly kind of dull and slightly on the fun side of the autistic spectrum, it has a lot of character. The skeleton of this game is actually quite good when you take a step back and look at all the other types of enemies and map designs. It makes for a lot of variety in the game loop in which you play. It then comes down to how you utilize these spaces as a developer, but you know, like, who am I to say anything about development? I can't even develop my motivation to get out of bed half the time. I digress. Which brings me actually to my next topic, private servers. With all the aforementioned information, private servers are very different from the main game, and some of them consider their own games themselves. The amount of work and dedication it took for some of these people to have a vision and execute it is honorable. Private servers are great when you get bored of the main game, which inevitably happens, because they offer things that are new and fresh. New monsters, weapons, XP buffs, events, I mean, you name it and they got it. Well, probably not. But they got new stuff basically, which is what I'm trying to say here, folks. However, with private servers running rampant for a long time, news was released that the original developers for the game are coming back. Yeah, okay. Anyway. When looking this up on the main site, they're remodeling and touching up on what the Endless Online game was missing when they went AFK for 30 or so years, which is very exciting for a lot of us. However, what happens to the private servers? Well, I don't know. I guess we just kind of have to see. I can't see into the future, so I mean, you know, what do you want me to say? To lower your blood pressure though, I'm sure they will stick around for, you know, they've been around for a long time, and people have put a lot of time and effort into. Okay. What about the community? What about the fucking community? No, I'm kidding. Well, there's something to be said too about the community of this game. Sometimes best actually not to mention it, but in general, I've met some very friendly people in this game. So, is the community what makes it worth playing, or is it the continued development of the game with experimental changes in gear and new bosses and, you know, yada yada yada? Well, yes, but we all know the real reason. For that sweet drama, baby. If you go on the game's Discord, it won't even take you 2 minutes to find someone calling else someone a retard or some other derivative. When it comes to the Discord, we have all sorts of interesting conversations. We have some decent feedback from the community, some brilliant artwork from talented artists, and then we have some of the most ridiculous arguments and people who love to start shit and flex their flubby arms on Discord. Please allow me to introduce these guys. Right. So, people like this are necessary in a community. However, from a lurker, it is very entertaining to see some of the arguments and shit talking that they can come up with. People just losing their minds on changes that don't really matter in the long run. You son of a bitch! It's honestly hilarious. And god damn it, I'm here for it. If you can't tell, I don't take this game seriously, like some of the MLG players who track every stat and try to maximize every single XP gained in an hour. It's just not that important. I mean, sure, every RPG gets to a point where you're min-maxing. However, making a story for this game could be the Shining Knight in white armor or whatever the fuck. Here's the gameplay loop in a nutshell. You hang out in the main town, sometimes AFK, go out and only kill monsters with the best drop/XP, shoot the shit with people that log in on a regular basis, people taking your kill, you know who you are.
Like
and was it you that killed my blob slime?
You bet your sweet bippy I did!
Rinse and repeat. This game can be relaxing as well, believe it or not. It has a really well-built social aspect. While not necessary for some of the folks on here, which can make or break your experience, the important thing is that you can play how you want. It's pretty lively on global or even guild chat. Is this game worth playing? Well, no, but actually, yes. With the unknown future, and if you're a fan of talking to strangers, I don't think there's a better time to get in and get familiar with it. I want to recommend giving it a try, but I started playing this game probably when you were doing frosted tip haircuts and using Razer flip phones. So it's like, yeah, this game's cool, but it's for nostalgia purposes for a lot of people. Since this game builds on the social aspect, without people and balancing it, it could be a grim future for the game. Thank you so much for staying with me to the end. What did you think of the game? Something worth playing? Maybe? Maybe not. I would at least keep an eye on the Endless Online Recharge project that I mentioned earlier. I'll link the website down below if you're at all interested. Endless Online has a lot of good things going for it, but without the balancing of areas and utilization of map space, you're left with empty towns and barren landscapes. I made this video out of boredom, but if you liked it, subscribe, like, whatever you want to do. I don't really care. I will continue to make videos when I can. I'm also using a Astro headset as the mic, so my bad for the shitty narration quality, but I hope you had fun. I know I did making this video. Goodbye.